Well, that's obviously not easy to swallow, and the truth of the matter is, I told those guys that was a much better team than we are right now, and they showed it, and they did everything that they needed to do. They played complementary football, and we did not. We knew we had to come out here in the first half in particular and play solid, play poised, play confident, find a way to make some plays and on both sides of the ball, but really make sure that what we could do was make some adjustments at the halftime, come out the second half, and make sure that we could put the pressure on them. And it's exactly opposite of what we did. So it's tough to swallow, but I promised those guys from the get-go that when we started this thing, I said it was one thing that I'm going to be committed to. It's going to be committed to being positive. And it's very easy to stand up here and rant and rave and point a finger at a lot of things. We all know that we have to get better. We have to get better as coaches. We have to get better as players, offensively, defensively. There's not a whole lot of bright spots. I know somebody can ask about the kick return, but the truth of the matter is even that right there gets overshadowed by just the way that we executed. And so more than anything, we know that this was a measuring stick. We're not measuring up to where we want to be or expect to be, but there's a long way to go. And the key is, where do we go moving forward and continuing to find ways to get better and keep pushing because the season starts now.
Luke, obviously, offensive line, you had to shuffle things in and out with Jake being out of the line. Just where is that group not stepping up right now here?
It's hard to just point a finger at that. I mean, there's so many things from today. I thought that, we kind of thought Jake was going to make it, but that was late in the week. We weren't sure. He did not practice very much. If not, it was going to be Carey, who I think after the first series went down and couldn't play, and then Ryan Corey had to go in there and went back and forth on some things. And so there's a lot of shuffling parts. And we knew that was going to be the case. We knew that if we were starting 3 redshirt freshmen on the offensive line or playing with 3 redshirt freshmen on the offensive line, things were going to be, probably a little bit tougher at times. But I don't know that I can say that there's one glaring thing. There's a lot of other things that maybe stood out more than exactly how the younger guys played up front. But it's a process that we've got to figure out and find a way to get the right combination of those guys together, keep them healthy in some ways, and find a way to run the ball better.
Quick follow-up.
Yeah.
Jake really wasn't 100%, especially in that second half. Was there ever a thought to, even if it had to be Ryan again, to take him out?
Yeah, it's hard to say. Obviously he went down. It wasn't his knee, it was the ankle, I think, or something. So I don't know exactly how Ryan did when he was in there. Obviously, we didn't move the football a lot, but there wasn't as glaring of things that that I would say, hey, we couldn't go that direction. So hopefully there are some options there. We just got to figure out what that best combination is and find a way to get in a groove a little bit better. I'm not saying we ever got in a groove, and I know late in the game doesn't matter. But there's some things where we can find ways to move the ball better, even as we get these guys growing up and working better together. But not to say that it's a darn good football team and a darn good front that took it to us today.
Luke, you say you're committed to being positive.
Yeah.
I know how much you hate to lose. How challenging it is.
It is very challenging, But I mean, I don't know where else to go. And the truth of the matter is we knew this was going to be a mountain to climb, and I don't just mean this game. I mean this entire season. We know that there was going to be some mix and matching. You didn't always expect the injuries and things as early in the season that you have to mix and match, but knowing that there was going to have to be a competitive maturity even on my part to make sure that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Now we're going to tear this thing apart and we're going to move forward, but finding ways to understand we cannot lose each other at any point in time. Not in a game, not in a half, not in a quarter, and sure as hell not in a season.
You said before that you felt like this group was in a better place just overall. Why do you still feel that way?
I don't know if I said that. No, there's a lot of things that go into being in a better place, and I really do feel like these guys have a better grasp of each other. But that's going to be tested. That's always, a challenge, so to speak, in camp when you're grinding through some things. But these are the real adversities. These are the real challenges to see, do they really have the commitment level? Them and me and everybody in that locker room. And everybody's sick. Nobody likes to not only lose, but lose the way we did and not perform in any way, shape, or form the way that we had prepared to perform. And so it's tough to be positive in some of those things. But where else do we go? right? I mean, we know that the season really begins now. We got to be able to move forward. We got to be able to get ourselves out of here. We got to be able to get as healthy as we can, and we got to get into league play, and we got to get better.
Dario.
Luke, I know you mentioned some other things stood out to you. How much do those penalties and miscues stand out? Because it seemed like every time you got into a rhythm, something happened.
Yeah, I can't blame that. I mean, if we can't make life on Ty Simpson any harder, it's going to be really difficult for us. And give him a lot of credit. He did a hell of a job. He played a hell of a game, threw the ball really well. But they protected him really well, and that's on us. I mean, if we're going to get better at the discipline things that we have to do, show up, and those penalties in those situations, just like turnovers, it's not like, I'm not saying it wasn't a good play, but when we throw them right to them, we got to make people earn things, and those are the ones that stand out right there. You're not going to go on a road and beat a team like this, making those types of mistakes.
No, Coach, after last week, you said how you guys kind of needed to play better in the first half. Was that difficult where you guys hadn't gotten out to some of those faster starts like you did?
No, there's a lot of things. I mean, you got to give other teams credit, but I think that the trying to figure out the continuity of how we, what's the combination of guys, whether it's up front and with I'd say a new quarterback, but with Danny getting in his second game, there's a lot of things you're trying to figure out. Okay, what do we do really well, and that's what we've got to figure out. That's on us as coaches, more so than it is on the guys and the players. And so, that's the challenge for us to say, moving forward, we got to put ourselves in a better position, especially in that first half, to build a rhythm, to have some poise, and to build some of that confidence that shows up more so in that second half. And that's the idea of the complementary football that obviously was not displayed today.
Any other questions? Based on the way the defense played the first 2 weeks, I think if there was a path to an upset, that group keeping you in the game would have been in.
Yeah.
Does it surprise you what happened?
Yeah, and I'm not saying I didn't give the quarterback as much credit, but obviously he played really, really well today, and we gave up big plays. I mean, the ability to handle some of those things and respond is what is key. The third down, you have a penalty and you give them the ball back, and then I think 2 plays later they hit a dig for a touchdown. And that's a little bit more of a surprise to me. I thought that the way we had played in the back end of our defense, and in particular defensively, I thought that was going to give us a better opportunity to get that thing to the second half and find a way to put some pressure on them, in particular from the defensive side of the ball, and we weren't able to do that.
Altogether, staying positive. Kind of after a game like this, do you look to flush things? How do you?
Yeah, we got to flush it pretty quick, but there's a lot to learn from, and I think that's where, no matter what, when you're going through these games and seasons, you gotta be able to put them past you. I tried to do some studying over the summer, trying to figure out, knowing that what this thing was going to look like, and a part of that competitive maturity had to do with me as well, and not being able to handle some of these situations and being able to move forward. It's like I try to tell them afterwards, it's not that we're going to wash this thing away and forget about it, but we have to move on. And it's not accepting losing. It's not accepting playing the way you did, but it's accepting the ability to, hey, let's correct this thing and let's move forward, because the league starts and the season starts now. Thanks.